Now we'll discuss simpler math, and I'm going to show how to use projected curves versus curves on surface to achieve some simpler surface math data. So on the screen is just kind of a simple idea to illustrate a technique. So let's just say in the side view potentially we had a set of surfaces that were offset from one another. Maybe there is a sketch, and over top of that sketch we've developed a couple of curves for the window opening. Now typically you would project these on and then build some surface data. So I'm going to just show that briefly. So right now if we said make a surface and let's say a skin across here, it shows you the default construction, which would be one surface and it has 4 spans. Okay. We can query edit that to get its history, and I could adjust and say, well, let's make this Bezier. Okay. And now it's just created 4 surfaces instead of 1, and they are still potentially too many surfaces for me for this simple solution. So another technique you could use is to use the multi-surface blend freeform blend. That produces a different surface, and we're going to just switch the options to connect ends. Okay, and I'll query edit it, and let's just set it to G0 just because we want a straight flange. Okay, now I can use explicit control in Bezier, and now it produces 2 surfaces, but still I believe that's too much. How do I know? Well, it seems like this surface has pretty gentle curvature, and this curve that we originally used to project, it was very simple. Okay, a degree 6 curve seems pretty simple. Okay. Now I'll show the technique for using curves instead of curves on surface. Okay. So now in the surface edit project tool, I'm going to switch and tell the tool to build curves, and I want to match the original curve. Okay, so I'll project to this surface. I'm going to project in the X direction, which is straight this way. All right, grab these curves and project them. So now it's showing us the deviation between the curves and the surface, not the curves on surface, but between a curve and a surface. All right. I'm going to do the same thing with the inner one onto the back surface. All right. And now let's construct a flange. So when I say a flange, I just mean this surface. We don't have to use the flange tool. In this case, we would have decided that these were the 2 surfaces that we wanted in the side view, or the 2 curves that we wanted in the side view, and this was the offset that we wanted in between them. So now it's just a matter of creating some surfaces in between here. I'm going to choose to use skin. I think it's very fast, and I'll build a skin here. Now we have very simple math. If we check our continuity or curvature, I'm going to shut the projected curves off, and now just to check back to our surface data to see how close we are, we'll project some curves on surface now. And we can check for G0. All right. In this case, I'm working to construction options 0.005. So it's passing at 0.005. we can use the locator move locator, and we can right mouse button on some of these values and see how close it in fact is. The black dot in the locator shows the max deviation. So the maximum is 0.00168. Now, even if we were working to 0.001, I would consider this okay if I knew that we were going to put a blend between this face and this edge, or this surface and this surface. Okay, because it's not even going to ever measure that continuity. It's only going to measure to the fillet, and the fillet will cover up the fact that there was a slight 0.00068 deviation right here. It will cover that up. Okay, so that's a quick demonstration of using curves versus curves on surface. I would not suggest to do this every time, but sometimes when you're making some larger shapes like this, for instance, this would be the whole length of the greenhouse. This is a technique you can use to generate some really clean surface data from curves instead of curves on surface.